Okay, so we're starting 1.3, which is all about functions and the representations. All right, what is a function? How can we recognize a function? And then looking at domain and range of a function, how they're represented numerically, graphically, verbally, and in an equation. Identify domains and range. Use the calculator a little bit to help you out with some stuff. Look at the graphs. Represent them with diagrams and things like that. So again, this is sort of the beginning introduction of functions. You should be familiar with functions. It's a concept that, again, should hopefully be familiar to you. Alright, so start off, well, what is a function? A function is a very special type of relation. So in 1.2, we talked about relations. Well, a function is a relation. It's just a very, very special type of relation. So the function is a process. So it is a process. So it's, again, you have to do something. It's like a machine. A lot of times you talk about functions as machines, where it's a computation that receives an input. So again, it's like a machine that's receiving input, right, and producing an output. All right, so your inputs are going in the machine. The machine's going to apply some rules to the inputs, and then you get this unique output out of my function, out of my machine. All right, so what's important about it is when I plug in my particular input, I always get the same output out. Right? I get the exact same thing. So whatever I plug in, I'm always going to get the same and unique thing out. Right? When I plug in the same thing, I get the same thing out. The formal definition, so it's a rule, right, which is a relationship between an equation pair of elements. Right? So there's a pair of elements involved. I can write them as a point. Right? For each element in set A, it has exactly one and only one element in set B paired with it. Right? Set A is called the domain, set B is called the range. Right? And so there's a relationship. The domain is the set of all input values, all of the x values that I can plug into the function. It's always the independent case. Right? We talked about this in relationship. There's the independent case and the dependent case. Right? Range is the output, what comes out of the function. Right? And the range depends on what you plug in. Right? My y values are dependent on my x values. Right? What I plug in, I'm going to apply some rules to it, and so again, it depends on what I'm going to get out, depends on what I plug in. Determining if an equation or graph is a function where y depends on x. Right? The input variables are, again, your independent, the output variables are your dependent. The biggest thing is this last line. For a function, for the relationship to be a function, no input has more than one output. So what that means, for every x value you plug in, you get one and only one output value. Right? And it's stated up here as well. Right, so it's stated like 3 times because that's the biggest thing about these. When I plug a value in, I only get one value out. For every input, I get exactly one output. So first we're just going to look at examples and non-examples of stuff that represents functions. Alright, so that's this first thing. So the following are relations. They're all relations. All of these examples here on this next page are relations. Some of them are functions and some of them are not function. I am going to have to clean this up because the program that I used messed up my notes that you guys should have. So again, you have the document, the Word document. But when I plugged them in this program to copy and do my video with, it messed them up. So I'm going to have to redo this because it kind of got messed up. Alright, so I'm going to call my domain A, my range B. And so I have this table, this relationship between set A and set B. My A is my x values. B would be my y values. Alright, and so what it means here is I have my set A is the -1, -2, -3. Set B was 0, 5, and 8. And then it's got arrows. And -1 has 2 arrows. It's got an arrow going to 0, and it's got an arrow going to 5. 2 has 1 arrow going to 5. -3 has 1 arrow going to 8. And we want to know if it's a relation, but we want to know if it's the special relations that's a function. And so what we're checking is for every x value that you plug in, every x value in the relation, do I have one and only one y value that comes out? And in this case, that's false. Where it's false is the first one. Alright, so if these are my x values here, x equals -1, means when I do -1, I get 2 y values. I get a y value 0 and a y value 5. And so it fails. Alright, so that means it's not a function. I get 2 y values for the input x equals -1. And that's the only one. The other ones are fine. At the -2, there's only one output 5, and at the -3, there's only one output 8. But as soon as I fail once, I fail the whole thing. It's a relationship, it's just not a function, right? Not a function. Right, next example, again, same thing. I've got some arrow messed up here, so I'm going to redraw this because this got messed up. Alright, so my domain I'm going to call set A, B I'm going to call, so this is my A, this is my B, so remember these are my x values. These are my y values, right? Inputs, outputs. Alright, so my A is 2, 3, 4, and 5. B, there's only 2 numbers, 8 and 9. Alright, and then it's got arrows. 2 goes to 8, 3 goes to 8, 4 goes to 9, 5 goes to 9. Alright, now is this a function? Alright, so remember, in order to be a function, every x value has to have one y value that comes out. And this is actually fine. It's okay if my y values repeat. It's just I can't have more than one of them. And so for my x value 2, there's only one y value 8. For my x value 3, there's only one y value 8. Now, the x value 2 and 3 happen to go to the same number, but they only go to one number. That's the important thing. They go to one number. When I plug 2 in, I get 8 out. When I plug 3 in, I only get 8 out. And so it's fine. And the same thing with the 4 and 5. When I plug the x value 4 in, I get the y value 9 out. When I plug the x value 5 in, I get the y value 9 out. Again, the x value 4 gives me 9, the x value 5 gives me 9, but they're only giving me one number, right? There's only one number paired with the x value 4. There's only one number paired with the x value 5. And so this is, so yes, this is a function relationship. Oops. Yes. Yes, it's a function. Alright, the next example, C, is a nice table. So these are tables that we'll be actually finding these later on in this set. So I've got my x values here, my y values. So again, those would be, my x values would represent my domain, my y values would represent my range. And the biggest thing is I just got to go through, and do I have any x values that go to more than one y value? Well, first thing as I look at my x values, these are all different, right? I've got -3 paired with the 1 value, -8, -1 paired with the y value 0, and so on. And so these are our points. -3 gets paired with 8. Right, our x and y. There's one x value for every y value. Right, there's one pair. And again, even though -3 for the x is paired with y -8 and +3 for the x is paired with y -8, it doesn't matter if I've got different x values paired to the same y value. What matters is for every x value, there's one y value it's paired with. Whether it's shared by other x values or not, it doesn't matter. And so, yes, this is also a function. Relation. Alright, the last one for this set of notes. So again, we'll look, see if I can make this bigger. There we go. Alright, so looking at it so I can see it a little bigger. So I've got now xy plane, right? This is my xy plane, and we want to see if there's these points, a scatter plot, has a function relationship or if it's just a relation, right? Or just a relation is fine. A function is just a special type of relation. And so what I have to do is I'm going to check it. So I'm going to label all my points. All right. So this point is the point -2, -2, -2, -2. So when x is -2, y is -2. This is the point -1, +1. So when x is -1, y is +1. This is the point 1, 1. This is the point +3, +2. And then I've got these 2 points here. This is the point 4, 4. And then this is the point 4, -4. Alright, so at this x value 4, alright, at the x value 4, I have 2 points, which means when I have the x value 4, it's paired with 2 y values. Happens to be 4 and negative 4. And so I've got a point 4, negative 4. I've also got a point 4, positive 4. And so because of this, it fails. So it's not a function. Relation. It is a relation. It's a scatter plot. It's a relation. It's just not our special type of relation that we call a function. Right? For every x value, you get exactly one y value out. It fails. For this one x value, I got 2 different y values out, right? 4, negative 4, different. They're opposites. Right? So not a function. So those are examples of some functions and not functions. So I'm going to stop the video here. In the next video, I'm going to go over function notation and evaluating functions. Alright, but I'm going to stop that one here.